3, 2, 1, and we're live. I'm here with Gray Hendershot on Caveman's Corner. How you doing, Gray?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. Your hair looks wonderful. Before we get going, what kind of product do you use?
Dude, I don't even know. I use whatever's in the drawer.
Whatever's in the drawer, huh?
Yep, that's right.
Damn, it looks so good for that.
I don't even pay attention.
Do you use what do you use, like gel or like hairspray like the 1980s? Like
I think it's more of like a wax product, but more of a pomade or something.
I wouldn't know about that stuff. My hair's never looked good ever.
I made sure it would look sharp for you.
I know, dude.
I've got a reputation.
It's amazing. We got like this bromance going on with your hair.
Yeah.
Your hair is way better than anyone else in jiu-jitsu. I don't care what everybody says.
I know Zach is really gunning for that.
Yeah,
title.
Zach is gunning for that, dude. But he got wrist locked. He can't talk about it. His hair. Jeez. I don't know about that guy. How was that match with Zach, dude? He is gigantic.
That was fun, and I wasn't expecting to just like physically dominate the entire time. I knew I'd had to get a little crafty with it, and especially without the gi, I'm without a lot of the tools that I normally like to use. So I was thinking about it a little bit. Like, he's huge, but his wrists aren't that big. I'm like, if I can get my whole body working against just that wrist.
Why ignore like 2% of the body?
Yeah. You can never ignore that 0.5% of the body.
Yeah, it was very interesting that you decided to go no-gi with him.
Well, so it was his idea.
Well, that was pretty smart.
And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more of a gi player, so given the skill disparity and the size, and I was like, we're just doing a match for fun. Like, I originally did have that Jordan Preisinger lined up.
Yeah, that would have been a great match.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been trying to get another match with him for a little while, and I was hoping he would show up to like one of the Buffalo tournaments or something, but just ended up not lining up.
I think he's turned his focus towards MMA, to be honest with you. It's tough to fight.
He's been thinking about MMA.
Yeah, it's very tough to fight and work in the gi. I know that. I mean, there's so much stuff that you have to do to be able to fight MMA, because you got to work on your stand-up, you got to work on your wrestling, you need to work on escapes, and you really can't concentrate on bottom jiu-jitsu like you would in gi jiu-jitsu.
Right. And I don't know that firsthand, but I totally understand where that comes from and why that is a thing. Because
even when you're attacking on the bottom, you go like triangle to armbar to omoplata to triangle back to armbar, and you might still lose a round if you're on bottom the whole time. Some of the judges are awful.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen things like that happen. Some of the King of the Cage matches, I've seen like good submission attempts, but just not enough time to really fly with them. And once you get sweating, like, I know playing no-gi, like, I don't have half the arm locks that I would. I end up playing a lot more chokes just because I can't get as well gripped onto someone.
It's a lot different when you have the gloves. You can stick your fingers in there. Don't tell anyone that you stick your fingers in there, but you can stick your fingers in there and control it pretty well.
I saw a little bit of that last night.
I saw a lot of that last night.
Fingers in the gloves and grabbing the shorts.
Yeah, and hands in the cage, feet in the cage, all that's illegal. You're not allowed to curl your toes in the cage.
Yeah.
So that's how he was fighting off that Kimura.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he was using his feet to like keep his back on the mat with the fence, like, so he had his foot up in the fence and he had it turned out, and he was pushing down with his leg to keep his back on the mat, not letting Khabib pick it up. It's pretty crafty stuff.
Hey, I mean, he knows every way to cheat in the book, I guess.
But hey, if you're not cheating, you're not trying to win, and at that point, you're willing to give up a point. Like, they should have took a point and stood him up, but the referee decided to let him go for the submission. And
he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that decision either.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to win by decision. He wants to knock the guy out.
And that's the easy way to get. If I'm Conor McGregor, I give up a point to get up from Khabib.
I'll give up a point, and then I'll strike.
Because they don't. When they take a point away, they should start him back down on the floor, exactly in the same position, or at least with him on top.
Yeah,
that would change it.
Do they do that?
No, they take a point and they start him on the feet.
They need to do it like IBJJF. Get like 3 guys and
drag them
to the center of the mat. Like,
1 point, and then drag him in the middle.
He's like, stop, don't move.
What'd you think about the melee?
Oh my god, we are definitely entering like the WWE era of the UFC.
I know, it's crazy.
So much drama surrounding that match, and like they had more security on hand because they knew something might happen.
They had so much. I've never seen that much security in there. There were so many red coats in between the two of them before the fight started. I've never seen
rightly
that.
so. And I mean, like Dana was breaking them up at the weigh-ins, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, that was kind of fake. You could tell Conor was hanging on to Dana before he threw that kick, and that's all just the bullshit that he does before the fight.
Yeah, but I don't think Khabib can separate himself from like the showmanship and the actual drama.
I don't think so either.
I think Conor can, and he can flip between the two, but I don't think Khabib takes anything as a joke.
No, and I think that's gonna like die away. All the guys are gonna be like Conor because that's how you make the money now, and it's just a sad thing, but it's kind of true.
Definitely, it's about showmanship almost more so than skill.
Yeah. Well, you gotta have the skill too. You just gotta
like
be
you gotta
exciting.
win still. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You just gotta be. You don't even need to win. You just gotta be exciting. Like
Right.
Conor doesn't always
Right.
win, but he's exciting. You know.
Yeah.
That's all you need. You need to have that one move, like the Gray Hendershot armbar.
Hey man, if you got one thing, even if they know it's coming,
Yeah. You hit
You
me
can
and
still
Schultz
pull.
both with that stupid armbar.
variations, man.
I like the omoplata variation you did, man. I want to
Yeah.
check that one out. I want to work with you on that one. I like that.
So like the monoplata, so like you're on your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like you took it like a different way. I've never had anyone really like pull my shoulder towards my neck quite like you did. Usually it's like a rotation, like your hand goes towards the back of your neck. You brought my shoulder towards my ear, and
Right,
it
right.
really like it
Yeah,
hurts a lot. I felt like it was going to separate my shoulder.
What I'm trying to do with that is like I imagine my legs just like corkscrewing through
Right.
as I'm applying that pressure, and so I can see where that would like push that shoulder up in your neck.
Yeah, I've never really felt quite that angle of pressure on my shoulder before. It was really interesting. It kind of panicked me in the no-gi match, and I tapped real quick because like you fucked up my arm in the first gi match. And I'm like, man, I really don't want to fuck up my shoulder in the same arm. But it was a quick tap, but dude, it hurt like a lot. I felt like it was about to separate my shoulder right out of my socket.
Well, like when I was first learning the technique, I felt it so that someone was doing it to me, and like the way they had me, they had my wrist, they had my shoulder, they had my elbow all at the same time. Like I felt 3 joints that wanted to give.
Right.
So I was like, that's awesome. And then I adopted that move and worked on it a lot from that point. This is like years ago, like white belt. I learned that, and I've just loved it.
I felt that a lot too, and like you isolate everything out, but that shoulder pressure is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, and then I'd say more often than not, it ends up being like the shoulder finish, but you can put a lot of pressure on like other joints too with that one. So.
Do you have a video of that? Of you smashing me with that one? That guy sent you one, right?
I think I do have. I have the videos of the no-gi. I took a couple of videos of the no-gi, and then
yeah, that's the one I'm talking. That's the one you hit. You hit it on me in the no-gi.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get any videos of the gi matches. But
Gi was both
that.
armbar. Both times were armbar.
Yeah.
You fucker. I got all these medals here. And they're all silvers because Gray kept beating my ass. Fucker.
Hey, you got Schultz though.
I did get Schultz, but we were just goofing around. We were. It was just kind of a flow roll.
Hey, I mean,
I got more fucked up in that roll with Schultz than I did in all 3 rolls with you.
really?
Yeah.
I mean, local tournament, like we all know each other anyway. It's not like there's any like super vicious like gotta win.
Unless it's me and Antonio.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Like that. What was going on there?
Okay, so he called everyone out to do the tournament, right? You saw
Right,
that, and I
right,
was like, "That's
yeah.
cool," you know. So I stepped up, and I'm like, "All right, I'll go against him, even if everyone's scared. I don't care, you know. Like, so what? He beats me. I pretty much figure I'm gonna lose when I go to Antonio, you know." And then we were both talking about jiu-jitsu, and then after the match, he's like, "Your jiu-jitsu's fake." So then I shoved him.
Oh no.
Yeah. And then he fell down. He said he was going to press charges, and then, but we both apologized, man. You know, we're both competitors. We're both trying to win.
That's
I don't have nothing against him. I don't think he has anything against me either. You know, I really, actually, I admire his determination to get good at jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah.
I just, I think we're always going to be wrong because he thought he won, but I still like. My thing is, jiu-jitsu is about finishing people, and that's why I think you're so good at jiu-jitsu, because not only you're winning by points, but you finish people, you know? And Antonio does that. He plays a point game, man, and he wins, and he's so fucking good, dude, you know? But
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I think that's more of a sport than, like, what jiu-jitsu is really about. I don't know how you feel.
So yeah, that's interesting that you say that. I think that's exactly why like Eddie Bravo came with the combat jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Because like jiu-jitsu is moving farther and farther away from like what it was really meant for like fighting. And so he's like, we got to bring a little bit more of a fighting element back into it. But yeah, like in school, like we learned about coaching and just like different philosophies on sport and stuff. And one of the things was like the letter of the rules versus like the spirit of the rules.
Right.
And so like in a nutshell, that's like it says that you need to get mount to score your 4 points, but it's like, why is mount one of the most valuable positions? And it's because if you were allowed to strike, you would be teeing off and that guy would be dead. Like, that's why mount is valuable. Why is back valuable? Because he has no recourse. He can't bump you. He can't strike back. He's getting pummeled and dying. And so, like, the reason the rules, even in IBJJF, where people, like, have a lot of disagreements with the rules, they are that way because that's how fighting is going to be most effective.
Right, and I submitted him with that illegal move. I was 90% sure it was illegal, and I know he knows it's legal because he probably wouldn't have tapped if it wasn't illegal.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and that's how he plays. But that position, it leaves your ankle out for that.
Right into it.
Like your ankle's out right there. There's nothing to stop.
What was it? Just like heel hook?
It was a toe hold, but the other way. Like you know when you go toe hold that way.
Inside,
so it's almost almost like a it pretty much is a heel hook. So
yeah, essentially.
Yeah, I was pushing it that way,
affecting the same joint.
As soon as he felt like one pop, because I could feel it pop through my hand, he tapped out, and then I got DQ'd. And as soon as I looked at the ref, I knew I was DQ'd, but I was like, man, I'm gonna go for this because it's right here. And like then I'm sure he was mad because it's illegal, and like to him, I'm like because I don't exactly know the rules of the sport, that I'm a dishonor to the sport to him. And then I think the other way about him, so we're both heated at that moment, and that's pretty much what it came down to. But I totally respect what he's doing,
Yeah, and I get it, but I definitely get where, and I do IBJJF a lot, where it's very much those strict rules. You got to play by the letter of the rule there. And yeah, like some of the matches aren't fun to watch because it's just like, I'm going to score my advantage, I'm going to chill, I'm going to move just enough not to get called for stalling, and I'm going to ride out this 10-minute match like that. And that's all people really need to do to win is like, I got to almost pass your guard. I actually had my first match earlier this year that I won by only an advantage. And I was like, I didn't know how to feel about that. I was like, I won. And I mean, like, I deserved my advantage. I fully believe that. But it's like, I didn't feel like I did that much.
What do you think about the rules of IBJJF then? Do you think they should change them, or do you think it's good the way it is? Like, what do you think they should do?
So I don't know how they would change them. It's just the thing. Like, and I like the organization. I don't think I've ever been like beaten by someone who just like outplayed the game. I don't think I've ever been like just beaten because someone knew the rules better than me and knew how to leverage them to their advantage. But I do see matches that are like that, and yeah, they're not fun to watch.
Right.
Like sometimes like IBJJF black belt matches are like the least fun to watch.
Or they're super exciting for about 13 seconds and then they're like super boring.
Yeah, and then like sometimes you watch the white belts go and you're like, all they know is submissions. They really don't know the rules very well. They're just going for it. They just want they want to get that choke or that one armbar that they know. And sometimes like the less experienced guys are more fun to watch because of that.
But you've, not to like blow out your horn or say that you're great or anything, but I think the way you play the game is like the way that it should be played. Because you're playing it for the points, but you're very good at submissions and you're finishing people. And and you're at a high level brown belt, man. That's about as high as you can get, like.
Right, I appreciate that, man.
Competition brown belt's probably better than a regular black belt, to be honest with you, in most cases.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, like just like versus your casual. Hobbyist kind of players, yeah. But yeah, the points are like kind of protection against other things that could happen. Like, and especially like once you get that score racked up, you get that mental game going a little bit. Like when you have like 20 points on someone, like they start to panic
And they gotta go for submission.
Well, yeah, and Bernardo wrote a blog about it a while ago, and why
he's one of my favorites, by the way.
I love Bernardo.
I have almost all his DVDs. I love them. They're very good.
And I mean, I've done like 3 seminars with him and all that. Well, Bernardo said that points jiu-jitsu is more exciting, and we see more submissions than we would in sub only, because having the pressure of being down on score encourages people to make mistakes.
Yes.
So like they at least have to move, and they're probably, the more movement you make, the more prone you are to making a mistake, and the more mistakes you make, the more prone you are to be submitted. So points jiu-jitsu ends up being like faster paced. It ends up being, we see a lot more submissions, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I like the point system. I think they could change the rules just a little bit and maybe open up a little more leg attacks. I think the reap rule is kind of stupid. At least higher up. I mean,
I think the reap rule is stricter than it needs to be. Like, I think there's like a couple control positions that I'd like to play, but I know I can't really practice them because like I'm going to get called reaping.
Right.
And it's not like I'm actively applying pressure or anything, but...
And it's because you can accidentally get into a reap pretty easily in a scramble and get DQ'd.
Definitely, and people can walk themselves into reaps too.
Yeah, I've seen that happen with Zach. Zach got DQ'd for reap when it was like a crazy scramble, and there was no pressure on the leg, but he
just
did
like trying to
reap it.
step through and like find your bearings and everything, and then next thing you know,
a reap, and he got DQ'd. He didn't even know he got DQ'd for, and we're like, dude, I'm pretty sure you reaped him. And they should tell you what you get DQ'd for too.
Yeah, I think there should be like a little bit of a warning, a little bit, just like give them 2 seconds to adjust their leg position before.
I think it should just be a penalty if there's no pressure.
Yeah,
if there's no pressure and there's nothing happened off it, because it's pretty easy to get in that situation, and that could open up the game a little bit too, I think.
Yeah, and a good ref should be able to tell the difference between like a malicious reap with intent and just like, oh, I scrambled into this reap.
If your leg doesn't turn, there's not really a lot of pressure on it,
Right.
And it's so easy, especially when you're both seated and you're almost in like a 50-50 kind of scramble, and you're both trying, when both people pull guard. That happens there a lot in blue belts.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think turnover should be awarded too. I know the logic behind it is you didn't really do anything, but
like reversals.
Yeah, like when you go from bottom to top without guard.
Yeah, I had a really tough match with one of Marcelo's guys at Pans, and I scored. Well, I didn't score. I caught a reversal, and I thought I've watched over it more times than I probably should have. I've dwelled on it just because I'm like, it's so borderline a reversal versus a sweep.
Right.
Like he had just barely passed. He hadn't gotten his points for the pass yet, so I'm like, should that be considered a sweep or a reversal at that
I think
point?
There's still skills in reversals too. Like
he just barely gets past, so it's like one could argue that it was kind of like a baited sweep.
Yeah.
But no points for it.
And even if you just turn a guy over, unless it's absolutes, you're the same weight, you should be able to control that guy. It takes skill to be able to do that. It's not just like...
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate in some scenarios that rule exists, but yeah, like sometimes I get caught, and it's not like I meant to just like allow a reversal to happen so I could like keep racking up points. I know people who do that.
I know
people who play that.
Yeah, people do that. Even at the highest levels, that happens.
Yeah, and it's smart by the letter of the rule. It's not good fighting.
Right.
It's not like the heart of jiu-jitsu. It's not like what we...
That's why I think it should be a score, to be honest with you, because it's going to stop that.
Yeah, I would not be angry at that rule. Even if it's just like a point, like give up 1 point.
It should be the same as a sweep, though. Because it's basically a sweep.
Yeah, it is like you are accomplishing something. It's not like an accidental thing.
Right. I mean, maybe at white belts it happens an accident, but by blue, like, you're dispersing his weight and you're sitting up. There's a lot of ways to turn somebody over without having your legs involved.
Right.
It takes a lot of skill to do that.
And I do it from side control all the time.
Me too.
I'm pretty good at doing just like big bumps in side control. Like I have powerful hips. I can put people way up in the air and stuff. So
You're a pretty accomplished IBJJF guy. How high were you ranked? You were like 10th in the nation, weren't you?
That was UAE JJF. So
Oh,
that
okay.
was,
I'm sorry. I thought that was IBJJF.
Yeah,
I
so
was
that's
like
like
super impressed.
the not ADCC, but like Abu Dhabi Grand Slam organization. So like those guys, and really it's like there's like 2 tournaments in the U.S. a year and 2 in Canada a year, pretty much like qualifier tournaments anyway. So like not a huge base of people they're drawing from, but yeah, I ended up like just like from doing like one tournament like 12th in the U.S. with them.
Pretty damn good.
It's all right.
Are you gonna do Rochester?
Which one?
The sub only?
Who's putting it on? Is
I don't
it the
know.
good
It's next
fight?
week, Saturday. Yeah, the good fight.
No, you know what? I have to work that weekend, so I can't make it. I've like reffed that tournament every year.
I know you were there last year, reffing.
Yeah. I have issues with some of these smaller local tournaments just because I end up paying so much money to do all these tournaments and getting like a match.
Mm-hmm.
So like the last couple of years I've been like reffing a lot of the smaller ones, and then I get like my one match for free instead of paying for it.
I was a little upset that they're not black belts free. I don't know if there'll even be anybody.
And that's just the thing is like people are really holding out and picking their tournaments. I think the market's a little saturated as far as tournaments.
I think so too. There used to be like 1 a year, and Ketra used to put it on, you know?
Right.
And then it was 2 a year, and that was still okay, and now everyone's in there.
Even just doing 2 at Riverworks in the course of a year. I guess it was 3 if you count
The Tap Out Cancer.
Yeah, Tap Cancer Out.
Which didn't have a very good turnout.
I was out of town. I would have been there if I could have. Yeah, so...
I didn't get a match there.
Really?
I got my money refunded. I wanted it refunded so I could just donate it.
Right.
Because they could just take it and donate it, but I'd rather like give the donations to people on my team than donate it myself.
Okay.
So I just took the money back and
saying.
donated it to my kids. So
as
I
long
could
as
try
it's
and,
going back in. Like,
yeah, so I could try and get my kids in for, you know what I mean? Because they're all trying to raise enough money so they don't have to compete. So I'd rather give them money that way than have it in my name, which worked out pretty good. So we got another kid in for free.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How's your kids' program?
It's going really, really well, man. Our competition team is a little bit smaller now because they've been going up into the adult class. So now we're rebuilding again to the competition team, but the kids class itself is doing very well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always see you and Matt out at the tournaments.
Yeah. Oh my God,
I think you two do such a good job with those kids.
That's like one of the most challenging things, but the most rewarding things as well.
And you know what? Like, kids can get really emotional about their matches.
Oh.
Kids can get really upset if they lose. Or I've seen kids cry when they win.
Yeah,
Like,
you need to be a psychologist on the mat.
It
like,
can be a tough thing. And one thing I was really impressed with was just like Matt, after any of the matches, like, and his son is so good and he's running through kids.
Mm-hmm.
He was always so like supportive and positive to like the opponents.
Yeah.
And cheering him up a little bit when his son
Dude, he's
killed
so
him.
good at that. He is the best.
Like,
at that.
awesome attitude.
I gave Matt his yellow belt now. Now that I'm a black belt, I can award the rank. So I was finally able to rank him up to yellow belt, and it was like I want to make sure he was the first one we got up to yellow belt. So he deserves it, man. He's a killer. He's been killing the yellow belts in the tournament. So it's about time we rank him up.
Yeah, and kids' ranks are a little muddy just because the standards are going to be a little different. Like adults, it's a little bit more consistent and unified. But like, how long have there really been even like kids programs and kids ranks?
It's tough because you got a kid that's been training since he's 4, and now he's like 12, and he's like super good. But there was no real program. But he's been training with Matt the whole time, so he's really, really good. But he's only been really officially doing jiu-jitsu for a little bit, so it's tough,
Yeah. And then you have cases like, what do you think about like Nicky Ryan getting, was he a purple belt at like 15 or whatever?
Yeah, I thought you had to be 16 to acquire any rank at all.
You do have to be. I mean, practically, no one can argue against it.
No
one can say like this kid doesn't have the skills of an adult. Blue, purple, even brown belt probably at this point. Like, he's very accomplished. He's beating adults all over the place. So, I mean, on that level, yeah, he deserves it. On the level of just like straight tradition and rules and everything, like, no, you can't give any kid.
What do you think about it though?
I think that any purple belt his own size you put in front of him, he's going to at least have like an appropriately challenging match against. He might not beat every like adult, you know, just by virtue of being like younger, he probably isn't as strong as he could be for his weight, just like hasn't developed like all the muscle and strength and everything, but he's still incredibly talented and skilled and running through most adults that he comes across.
Do you think that they should though, or do you think tradition should trump it?
I think he can wait the year or two to get the rank.
Yeah, it's tough. It depends on what he's competing at too.
But I mean, who am I to question like Danaher?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think tradition should really matter that much. I think if you earn it and you're that good, like we didn't when that tradition started. I mean, the Gracies were training like them, but they had their own belt system too. You know, it was different. It was blue belt, you're a black belt. You know,
I don't want to see it all over the place. Like, I don't want to see like the average 12-year-old getting their blue belt and then thinking that they are a blue belt. You know, because in other martial arts we see it all the time where it's like the 10-year-old black belt, and it's like, well, that should mean a little bit more than it does. I think. I think that a black belt in any martial art should be a force to be reckoned with. Like,
I think so too.
No martial arts black belt should be easily worked around.
Why you give me that look?
I'm not. I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. Do you have other ranks in other martial arts?
No, I don't have any ranks in anything besides for jiu-jitsu. You just looked at me like I'm gonna work you again.
No, I'm just saying. No, I'm not saying anything about your black belt. You have a well-deserved jiu-jitsu black belt, and I mean, you think about that. Like, you are so far beyond like the average person who hasn't trained in any martial art. Like you are,
I hope so. Jesus.
You are, but yeah, I'm just saying, like a black belt in jiu-jitsu at least, is just like actually so far away from the average human being.
I think a blue belt is, to be honest with you.
I agree with you. I think the average jiu-jitsu blue belt can handle any untrained person.
It doesn't matter about the size either. I mean, you hear a lot of stuff about
within reason, like like 100-pound difference is 100-pound difference, but like. Yeah, a blue belt can handle anything. Like, I think police should all have their blue belts in jiu-jitsu.
It should be required.
It should be required. And
at least a blue belt. And they should have their own special training program, too, like for weapon retention and all kinds of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Have you worked with any of the DTs that come in? I know they come into Buffalo Combat Fitness, and every now and then someone will come into our gym.
Like, I've worked with, like... just Wadsworth.
He doesn't count because he's a black belt. He's really good. Some of those police.
And in Rochester, I used to train with a lot of police.
Were they good?
Yeah, back at Shogun, there's like a fair amount of police that train, and it's just all guys that have taken it into their own hands to be fit and skilled in combat. And I respect those guys so much because, like, how many times you see that chubby cop, and you're like, if there was a fit criminal running down the street, like, what could you really do short of pulling a weapon?
Right. I always think if I can, police should be able to handle me because I'm a small guy, you know? And even though I'm a black belt, you should be able to handle me.
Sure.
You know, like, that's part of your job, really, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think the average martial artist is a little bit better behaved.
Yeah.
You know? That being said.
I'm not going to get arrested anytime soon, I don't think. Unless I hang out with you.
Oh, what are you trying to say?
At the concerts, I see you have this really calm exterior, but you're a crazy guy inside, I'm sure.
I'm not like...
You're blushing, man.
I'm just like hanging out, man.
Yeah, I seen you at the concerts. Any picture with Mans, you know, is going to be a little crazy, so...
Yeah, but it's not like I'm going and breaking every law in the book.
No. Just some of them, I'm sure.
Just some of them.
Just the stupid ones.
Yeah, the ones that don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm definitely not one to, like, question authority either. I'm not going to, like, be pursued by cops and, like, go into fisticuffs.
Well, look at your hair. You can't fight with hair like that.
No,
you can't mess my hair up, officer.
I gotta keep the hair nice. Yeah.
Even when you finish grappling at the tournament, your hair looked great.
Yeah,
I have the pictures of you.
It's all about that random gel out of the drawer, man.
That looks great.
It stays preserved.
Speaking of craziness going on and law breaking, do you think that IBJJF is ever going to have a situation like UFC just did? I mean, they've been pretty close with some chair throwing, and
Oh yeah, the chair throwing. I don't know, because I mean it's definitely never going to be as packed of a house. There's definitely some moments where tensions run high, where there's a lot of emotion going on in the IBJJF. One example being like people were pretty fired up about Keenan at Worlds, and just like everyone's saying he got robbed because he's not Brazilian. So he changed his name to Keenan Cornelio.
And now he starts winning.
It's weird.
Gets the calls. I don't know what it is.
I think at some of those biggest tournaments, I don't know. I think for the most part the jiu-jitsu people are pretty well behaved, but like I could imagine a scenario where like a bunch of those big teams are present and some things start to get personal.
I mean, I look what happened with me and Antonio, and I feel pretty bad about it. I feel awful that I keep coming back to the situation, but like there were people that wanted to fight Antonio, there were people that wanted to fight me. That was like a inflamed situation. And It wasn't good, And I apologize to him, and I apologize once again to Josh. It was terrible that we both did that. But, I mean, there's people that respect us because we're upper belts. I mean, but it does get heated, and I can understand why something would happen, and especially when we got two black belts that hate each other. One of them probably was under the other guy, and then he left, so they hate each other, and our students are trying to go against each other.
Sure.
It's tough.
Yeah, it could happen anywhere. I suppose it happens with really any sport.
Mm-hmm.
Fights break out. Hockey especially.
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes you go to a fight and a hockey game breaks out.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes there's football fights too. Yeah. Like, in high school, I definitely saw a few of my teammates getting scraps just on the field, and I'm like, you guys are so dumb for doing that. But
it's a tough situation sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm calling the kettle black because I did the exact thing I'm preaching against. But
right.
Like, we need to police ourselves a little bit better, and I see it now. Like, it kind of took that to happen or to really realize it. It's more than me, because all my kids were like, "Oh, we should jump him." I'm like, "Dude, you shouldn't jump him. I'm the one that was wrong."
Right.
So it was like, it was tough.
Yeah, it's like, how do I make a good example?
Right.
But also not take anybody's shit. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough because I feel like it was the right thing to do. It's just the wrong way to do it.
Sure. How could you have done it better?
I could have just said, like, man, I could have just yelled at him back instead of pushing him.
Right. Keep it verbal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if someone's gonna be a button pusher, do you think Dylan? What do you think Dylan was saying? Because I know Dylan was saying something to get that rise out of Khabib.
I'm not sure that Khabib could even hear what he's saying. I think he just saw him jawing at him, and he's been attacking his jiu-jitsu. Like, Dan has said he's better than Khabib, and he's been saying all this stuff. He's bigger and better, like, in the media leading up to it. So I'm sure Khabib's already pissed off at him, and then he just sees him mouthing, and he probably jumps over the cage.
I do think someone was just like reporting some statement Khabib made after the fact, and I think he said something. His English isn't great, so he doesn't have the most eloquent way of putting things. But I think he said something along the lines of like, you don't speak bad about my country or my religion.
Yeah.
And so that would suggest that like
Dylan's something bad
talking shit about Russia or.
But I assume that he was talking about Conor, because Conor made fun of his religion a little bit, and his manager and his dad. So it's tough. Yeah. He's just assuming the whole Conor camp is all saying the same thing. I don't really know.
Yeah, but I mean, he was
he was mad,
going straight after Dylan,
right over the fence.
So it's like,
it looked like Dana's kicked his ass too when he got over there.
I didn't see too much of it. I mean, they broke it up so quickly. Yeah, who knows?
Now they got to fight. They got to do like a Abu Dhabi match.
Right.
That'd be good. I would love to see that.
I don't know how likely that is. And then people are like, get Dylan out of Bellator, put him in the UFC for that grudge match. But then a lot of people say Khabib wants to retire too.
They're probably both going to be suspended for a long time anyways. They have to suspend Khabib.
Well, I don't think who do you mean both?
Khabib, Dana should be anyone involved in any of the fights.
Yeah, because I mean McGregor, he didn't do anything.
He was punching that guy in the cage.
After he got punched.
Yeah. No, before he got punched, he went after someone else, and then after that,
McGregor did.
Yeah, he went after one of the Khabib's cornermen. But that was after Khabib's already over the fence. So
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and then there's another replay. Josh Ketry posted it, so you can check that out.
Yeah, there's more layers.
Yeah, and then that other guy jumped over the
this.
fence. Whoever that guy is, if he fights in UFC, he should be. I couldn't even tell who it was. He should
toast.
be gone.
He's done.
They arrested 3 of those guys, and Conor wouldn't press charges, so they released them all.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
like McGregor does like know how to stay humble in defeat and not stir the pot anymore once the fighting stops.
Yeah.
So that's at least one positive quality there.
Yeah, he's not an angel either in the whole thing, and throwing that dolly was like he should have been suspended for a long time for that.
Right.
I mean, just because he hurt innocent people. If it just could be even the trailer, maybe it's different. But like he hurt a lot of innocent people in there. You know, Borg lost his fight, and
he disturbed
Borg's,
like the actual UFC's
card. Changed 3 of the fights on the card.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and he was jumped in the cage before. He should have been suspended forever for that. But it happened in other countries, so it's okay. And that was Bellator too. So when he tried to slap one of the refs, do you remember that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he jumped in a cage in England or something, and he tried to slap one of the refs because the way the fight went, one of his guys got a bad call against him. He's a nutball, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is important to like keep the emotions under control and just stay composed even when people are going nuts like that.
I think our trash talking leading into our super fight was the best one ever.
Right. Yeah, and I mean like. My thing is like I just don't want to like continually escalate things and actually like end up with bad blood and just like get other people pissed off because it'll spiral out of control like we just saw. Like we had a stadium full of rowdy Russians and Irishmen,
and then there's fights everywhere, all over the Vegas, man.
Yeah,
it's probably a scary place. They rushed the governor out of there.
Oh yeah.
That was crazy. So you know something bad's got to happen.
Well,
when the governor gets rushed out, bad news.
He's in charge of the athletic commission too. So it's like, yeah, he's got a lot of power over what happens to Khabib right now.
Yeah, that's a bad
and
situation.
His team.
And all the movie stars were in there too, man. That's got to be crazy because they're all like ringside.
Yeah, imagine
Matt
the
Damon,
insurance, the liability they had. Like, it's like you guys hurt Matt Damon. Like, it's okay. He's an action movie star, so he can handle himself.
Right. Or Drake. Drake gets run over.
Like, you guys just cost Canada so many millions of dollars.
Yeah. So, what got you into jiu-jitsu originally?
So jiu-jitsu. So you know Eric Cady, right?
I know who he is.
So,
I don't know him.
My original coach, like I started under Eric Cady, so he's actually a good friend of my parents. And, and my brother like started training a little bit in Rochester, so like I knew about it. And then when Eric opened his school, my parents wanted to go support the grand opening. They put on this jiu-jitsu demo, and so like that was like the first time I like really saw jiu-jitsu in action. And he did like just like a few things and this and that, and then he did like a flying armbar, and I'm like, that's so cool.
How old were you then?
I was 15.
All right, and you're what now?
I'm 24 now.
Damn, so young. Fuck.
So
beating up old guys, you should feel bad beating me up.
Yeah, I do.
You're like almost half my age.
I sit and write in my diary about it. Like I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, I saw a taste of jiu-jitsu and I was like, okay, now I really want to start doing that. And I'm like, Mom, pay for jiu-jitsu for me, please. And I started going like once a week and I loved it. And then once the summer came, I'm like, let me do 3 times a week. And it just built from there. And like once I got to college, like it got to a point where I was like, I have the opportunity to train more than 3 times a week. And like I didn't really think it was a possibility because I had to start like going to other places to get in more sessions. And like I was going to school in Brockport. And so like what I would do is I scheduled around the noontime class, so I would have morning classes. I would drive back to Rochester, train, go back for evening classes.
That's a long drive to.
It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
so
just to get us a rolling.
Yeah, and so it got to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm training 6-7 days a week, and I'm just totally in love with this, and just kept going from there.
How did personal training get involved?
How did it get involved?
How did you get into personal training? Doing it with jiu-jitsu as well.
So that was just like. In college, what I did for work, just because I was lifting a lot. Like when I started college, I was in Oswego. There was like one jiu-jitsu place my parents wouldn't pay for it for me, so I had to come up with the money myself if I was gonna go. I didn't end up going while I was there at all. I just got like really into lifting, and so like I went from 160 pounds to like 195 pounds in like the first year of college. I just lifted every single day, and I was like, I should at least make some money off of this.
Right.
And so like they offered a course and just getting me certified to do that, and I've done it on and off since.
Yeah, I saw your Gray Hendershot personal training page, so I try to pump that on the
Right. And so I haven't been doing it in the last like year, but I'm gonna start a little bit more in like a week.
like a week.
Yeah.
Good promotion for it then.
Yeah.
I got you. You're gonna be a personal trainer, and you can do privates and jiu-jitsu, and
Right on.
you can just stop working. How did
Good.
how did you get into making braces and stuff? Where did that come from?
So I just do like fitting braces. I do like all the things that are already made. It was just kind of like what I went to school for was like related to the body and how it moves and how it works.
What did you go to school for?
It's called kinesiology. So it's like human movement science basically. And, being really into lifting and being really into jiu-jitsu, of course, like that's like kind of a natural move for me. Like, okay, I want to do something related to how the body moves. And so this job is a little bit more like, okay, how can we make the body not move? So like, it's a good fit. It's been something, that made a lot of sense to me. But I'm actually only doing this for like the next week, and then I'm going personal training full time.
Right. My physical therapist, Dr. Kroll, is like something. Maybe you could get into that. That's something that seems like is a perfect fit for you.
I definitely thought about it. It's tough to get into those programs for school though.
Yeah.
And like even with like my degree, like it's super competitive to get into just like the doctorate program. You have to basically like start college over again. So it would be like,
that's rough.
It would be like another like 4 or 5 years of school at least.
Cause you're so smart too, man.
I'm trying, man.
You seem smart, at least. I don't know, because we haven't really hung out too much. But
at least until I start MMA, I might be smart.
Are you gonna fight?
I want to.
Hell yeah!
I'm very interested, but my striking is definitely lacking. I've been focused way more on the gi, so there's a lot of changes to my training routine that would have to come, and then it would be like at very least like 6 months of changing up the.
All right, this is a good segue right into what do you think about the local gyms?
Oh, geez, loaded question there.
It's very loaded. But for anyone that's listening that doesn't know, Gray goes to you're primarily at Lake Effect, right?
I'm at Lake Effect, yeah. So I cross train a little bit. I stop by Booma every once in a while, Buffalo United. More like maybe once a week, usually.
Booma's like Switzerland.
A couple times a month. Yeah, Booma is just like neutral ground for everybody.
Everyone trains there. That's the best school around.
There doesn't seem to be any like bad blood between Booma going in any direction. So that's awesome. And Ketri is very welcoming to people from other schools as long as you're paying your dues at some school. And
me and Antonio train there together, and we never have a problem ever. Like when we're there, it's awesome.
Absolutely. So and they have those awesome death camps on Sundays.
Yeah, death camp, dude. That's the best, Mustafa.
So
we'll continue going on this, and I got to ask you a question about that before we get out of here.
Yeah. So about death camp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, like little bit. I did a few open mats at Buffalo Combat Fitness too.
Joe I is awesome. I like him a lot. He's a really good dude.
Yeah, really like those guys. It's a smaller school over there, so less traffic going through. But they have a good community and definitely devoted individuals training. I haven't really been over to WNY since you guys had the whole kind of explosion
with
where kind of everybody. That was pretty much everybody for a while, right?
Uh-huh. So now you guys are all over at Lake Effect.
I feel weird about it just because I'm training with Katilis, who I feel like is like enemy number one
with Dub,
for Dub. So I feel weird being a Lake
they
Effect
started getting
guy.
into it at the Tap Out Cancer.
I would believe it. Yeah,
that was
what
weird.
was happening there?
Catillas came up and said something to Dub, and Dub's like, I'm not even going to pretend to be your friend. And then it got a little personal. Catillas started talking, don't you think you need to have like personal morals or whatever? And they got like into stuff I don't really want to talk about on a podcast.
Sure, I understand that.
But it was like intense, dude. And I'm just standing there. I was like, okay. I was just trying to like broker a little peace between the two of them, but that's not really going to happen ever.
I believe that, yeah. And, you know, like, I've known Catillas for a long time. He would come out and train with us in Rochester.
Yeah.
And, like, Catillas, Sprigata, sometimes Antonio, like, are the guys.
I love Dave Sprigata a lot. I've had him
Yeah.
on a podcast. He's a really, really
awesome
good
guy.
dude.
Yeah. Never does anybody wrong. He's not one of the people who instigates or anything like that.
He beat me too, that fucker. Only because of stupid rule, I didn't know you gave up 2 points if you go out of bounds in a submission.
Oh, right.
I was in a triangle, but not really.
Hey, man, we got to do like an IBJJF rules course.
We do. I'm learning them as I break them.
You're a black belt losing on just like technical issues like that. Yeah, so just, you know, I train where I train because I've known these guys for a long time. I think that as far as like high level, mostly gi competition, IBJJF competition, Lake Effect is the place that I want to be.
I think if I was training for an IBJJF tournament, I would be there as well.
Right, yeah. And, you know, I think that, you know, there's no question that WNY is the authority for MMA.
And if you fight, you should come over there. I'll try and broker something for you. So we got to get you some good rounds with some good fighters, too.
Right.
I mean, it's different. And there's a look you're not going to get over at Lake Effect.
Right, sure, yeah. And, I mean, you guys actually have a fight team where, like, I know, like, Booma has a few fighters, but not really, like, an organized fight team practice or anything.
Yeah.
So I get that. Like, I get why you guys are successful with MMA, where, like, not everybody else, like, we don't even really have striking. We would like to have striking. It's something that may be coming up, and we almost had a boxing program start up, but just the guy we were going to have coaching had some personal issues.
Boxing's tough because those guys are a little sketchy at times, getting them in and be reliable to show up on time and run a class where people are actually paying for. Because it's just such a different atmosphere and vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that there's anything wrong with boxing. They're just traditionally late, and they're going to work however they want to work. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, and, you know, I have like a little bit of Muay Thai because back at Shogun we had Jiu-Jitsu, we had Muay Thai.
Dude, Keith is one of the best in the area.
Right.
Keith Ferrant is one of the best. And then we have Corey. I forgot what Corey's last name is. It's Corey on Facebook. It'll come to me in a little bit, but he is phenomenal. We call him Big Corey. He's phenomenal at Muay Thai over at our place too. And then Corey Webster is a really good kickboxer. You know, so we got really good striking all over. And Solomon teaches some of our classes now. He's a great striker. So that's good. Our jiu-jitsu program's coming back up too.
Cool.
So hopefully we'll be rivals in the future again. We'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's tight between like WNY, Booma, and Lima at like the local tournaments.
It's tough because Booma and Buffalo BJJ are together.
Yeah, absolutely. If those two were not the same team, we would see very different results, I think. But they are.
What do you think about Chuck? Have you trained with Professor Anselo?
I have not trained with Chuck. A lot of people find him to be kind of abrasive.
He's very abrasive.
I haven't met him, so I don't really know. I don't have anything to base
him
it
and Catillas hate each other too for some reason.
Really, one thing I saw was just like a post he made, like talking shit on Godden. So I was like, I like Godden, like.
Yeah.
So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
He changed teams like something about dicks or something.
Yeah, like hopping dick to dick.
Yeah.
Like hopping team to team. You know, I get Godden's position. I know why he made the moves he made. Yeah. So, like, no disrespect here.
Yeah, it's weird because God and the Dub are still kind of friends.
Yeah, and shit, man. Like, GFT's a good team to be a part of.
Hell yeah.
And I don't think he'll be hopping to the next team anytime soon. I think he's gonna stick with GFT.
I put Chuck in my thank you when I got my black belt, and he was like, he wrote a post about it, and he's a little pissed.
Really?
Yeah, and like he thought I was talking about him being in jail when I said people say bad things about him, but I was just about his abrasive personality, you know.
Oh.
And I wanted to thank him because he taught me how to learn jiu-jitsu, man. I really think in the area he's the best guy at breaking down technique and seeing jiu-jitsu. Like, he's such a good coach, and Like I always give him the respect that he deserves, man.
Right, and I mean, I would definitely like to like go catch Cyborg next time he's in town. So
I mean, he can be an asshole if you cross him.
To meet Chuck, I suppose.
Oh, you never trained with Cyborg yet?
I haven't trained with Cyborg
yet.
yet.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's the thing I miss most about leaving Chuck is being able to train with Cyborg. It's so good.
Well, I'm sure he'd let you attend the seminar still.
I don't know, dude.
No, you don't think so?
I don't think so. Although Minhouse does.
Yeah, he does.
Minhouse goes everywhere, and it's okay for him.
Right. How
That's
does he fly
crazy.
under the radar
I don't
like
know.
that?
It's so crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to be divisive at all. I'm trying to be friends with everybody. Like, so I don't want to say that there's any school that I dislike. You know, there's maybe individuals at any school that I dislike.
Right. Exactly.
But
that's how I feel
individuals at my own school that aren't my favorite, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think I'm not an owner, so it's hard for us to talk like we're owners because
right.
Like when someone leaves your gym, that's money leaving going to the other gym. But I always think it should be kind of an open playing field. You should always train at your own gym, and then you should be able to cross train a little bit.
Yeah, I think that as far as cross training goes, I think you should definitely be like a vast majority spending time at your own gym because you just don't want like to plan regularly on needing another gym. Because, like, what if you just had the same time slots at your own gym and you had everything you needed at home, you know?
I think you're taking away from your team. And I think it's a little bit selfish if you go train
right.
somewhere else when your team's training because your team needs you too, you know? Like,
right.
especially
Absolutely.
us because we're higher belt level. But I still need the bodies that are going to other open mats and training, you know?
Right. And absolutely. So I think that you need to, like, we all owe it to our own team to just, like, support our own school. What am I trying to say? So if we are going to the other school to train and we take, you know, bodies away from any given session, that's just like, I want to see a very full class. And I'm happier to go to those sessions where there's a lot of bodies and a lot of intensity. So if, like, say Tuesdays, somebody wants to go, instead of going to our class, they want to go train across town, then, like, who am I supposed to train with? Am I supposed to go train across town and just add momentum and add mass to that class? Or do I want to stay at my school and try and build that up better?
Right.
Yeah.
And you're always going to run into personality conflicts too. And you should, what I'm saying is just train where you're comfortable. Because it's really easy. Like, when Katilis was about to leave, they would all sit on the mat and they would not like dub. And you could just feel that bad energy. Like, I think if you're like that, you should leave. And there's no problem with that. But I think at the same time, you still need to be able to come together as a community and do things like tab out cancer. And
yeah,
I don't know if you were here in town yet, but one time all the schools got together and we had a huge seminar and we donated the money to.
I was at that seminar. Yeah,
I forgot who it was for now because it was a while ago. But that was an amazing thing. I wish we could come together.
Paul Moran, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Paul Moran.
So I came out for that because, you know, like, even though living in Rochester, like, at least like Eric and my school and I, like, we tried to be a part of the WNY community a little bit and just like come train with you guys when we could. Like, not a ton of us. Like, I would come out when I could to like hit open mats. Mm-hmm. Like I came out to a couple classes at WNY here and there, like back before everyone split off. And then after that, I would come out to the Lake Effect open mat, like probably monthly when I could. Am I getting too far away?
Yeah, a little bit far away. I just turned up the gain a little bit. No problem.
All right.
You were talking about the open mats?
Yeah. So I just made an effort to like come out and you know, Rochester scene is not as big as Buffalo's, so it was good to get looks from a bigger community.
Yeah, I really like getting everyone together. Now at Mondays we're trying, because we have so many black belts now that we're all teaching different classes. We don't get together much.
Right.
So Monday is going to be our black belt day and we all get together and train now. And that's been some really good training. But if we could just get all the black belts in that area together, can you imagine?
Well, yeah. Could you imagine, like, you know, if all the personalities could get along and we could all just train under the same roof.
They don't even need to get along. Just come together one day and we
Right.
can smash the shit out of each other.
Yeah,
It doesn't got to be like 100% friendly.
But like, what a powerhouse gym we'd have if like everybody was under the same roof.
Yeah, and it's nice and easy to
nuts.
say that, but there's so much politics in it. And it's
Yeah,
so
and I
tough.
get why it wouldn't happen. But like, you look at schools like Toronto BJJ where they have like 500 students, and it's like we have 500 students across Buffalo as
together.
a whole. Yeah, so it's like, if we had a school that big, how good could we all become from it?
And I think we're a little saturated in the area with schools too, to be honest with you. I think there's a few too many choices for the small amount of students that we have.
Yeah, I think that can be a little bit of overload. And it's like, they don't really know what they want. Like, if it's a new person, new to jiu-jitsu, like they want to try it out, they don't know what they're looking for. They don't know who's going to give them that. And they probably don't want to spend a week at each school trying to figure that out either.
Right. And
They're
then
just going to go somewhere and they might not like it, and then they might not train jiu-jitsu, where like if they went to school B, they would have fallen in love.
Right.
So that's definitely a possibility, and I've definitely seen people like just not kind of mesh with one school where they would have with the other.
Yeah, it's tough because your personality is so important to what school you go to too.
Oh, totally.
Except for you, because you fit in pretty much anywhere.
I try to. I just try to be, reasonable
Yeah.
as far as that.
Who do you think? I don't know. Who do you think's the best guy in the area
Bet me
in
no.
jiu-jitsu? IBJJF? No, you can say you. That's a good answer, actually.
I don't think I don't think that's necessarily accurate. That's a tough question, because I mean, like, we have guys with like different goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
I've kind of thrown you under the bus. I want to see what you're gonna say.
yeah. I mean, just depending on like, I do think that I'm up there. I think I'm pretty high up there.
You're smashing.
Not
like
to ring my
us.
own bell, but I mean, I think I do pretty well. But I mean, there's definitely guys like, for one, like Larry Backless. Never come close to tapping him.
Jesus Christ, dude! His top game is so pressure filled. I haven't rolled him in a long time, but God.
Not necessarily saying that's my answer, but I mean, like, where a lot of the black belts in the area I've caught, tapped, scored points on, at least. Like, never tapped him, maybe scored points. So I mean, it's tough, and it's like.
Have you rolled Richard Smellick yet?
Not familiar, no.
Dude, he's a black belt at Buffalo BJJ. He used to play hockey for the Sabres. He's such
Oh,
an
maybe
athlete.
I have,
yeah,
actually.
a really tall guy. He's super strong.
You know what? Yeah, I did. Now that you say that he played for the Sabres, it's ringing a bell. I remember just like a huge dude. I think, yeah.
He's super good too, man.
I do believe I rolled with him. Yeah, so I mean, there's it really depends, and I mean, it's hard to compare like the different sizes too. Like, how am I gonna say that, two dudes that are not nearly in the same weight class, how am I really supposed to fairly compare them?
Yeah,
like,
you big bully. I gotta put weights in my bag. Roll you.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you take a lightweight, maybe featherweight black belt like yourself, and then you compare to like Godden, who's super heavy.
He's a monster.
Yeah, like.
Have you rolled at Ulstrom?
What's that?
Craig Ulstrom? Yeah.
I have never rolled with him. No.
Me either, dude. And he's from my old school. I still never
Right.
rolled him.
I know. Zach was saying he was the best,
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to roll.
and
him.
I'm like, is he? Like, I want to feel this for myself. So it depends. Like, are we talking IBJJF rules? Are we talking who's maybe got the best grappling for MMA? Who's better in no-gi?
Yeah, I've seen his classes, and they're a little bit wrestling intensive too, man. I'd love to roll with him. Just never got the chance yet.
Right.
We were both kind of eyeing each other when we got our black belts, but we never ended up rolling. Because
You just never run into him, huh?
Yeah, he mostly teaches at Williamsville, and I'm mostly
That
in
makes
North
sense,
Buffalo.
because he was over at Pursue before
Right.
he merged.
Now we
there.
just call it Williamsville, but yeah, old Pursue.
Right.
That facility is amazing.
Yeah, it looks good. I've
like
seen the
it.
pictures. Looks nice.
When we got I got my black belt there, so we had the big thing over
Is that like
there.
the only time you've been over
That's
there?
the only time I've been over there, to be honest with you. And I was actually over there a couple times for Muay Thai seminars too, but it was the only time I've been over there to do jiu-jitsu. And it's amazing because you're rolling. You see the people in the mall walk by, and you're like, I'm not gonna lose now, dude. I like it.
That's
it's
my
like
motivation.
Yeah, dude, it's so motivating to be
I gotta
there.
show you how tough I am.
And everything's so white and looks so clean.
Yeah, I like that in a school, like real fresh looking.
Yeah, and it's cool because people are walking by like then, and it's so white and clean, so they can just. I like the feel of it. It's so cool.
Yeah, gotta love that.
I know. That's why I like fighting, because I like to compete in front of everybody.
Yeah, yeah. I can see both sides of that. Like I get hyped up. I get nervous sometimes at these competitions, but
yeah, I thought I might have a big advantage with you the first time we super fought, because like a different experience.
Because
it's
like the cage, that's your home. You know that
Yeah,
place.
and I was so comfortable, and I like to talk shit, and it was just fun. That was the best I ever did against you too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because I like to use a cage to stand up, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, there's definitely adaptations, and I kind of took that because that's like I've had such little experience like actually grappling in a cage, but I kind of made some mental notes, and like when I had Zach in the cage, I was like, okay, I want to kind of avoid being against the wall because I know you guys live in that world. WNY has more cage experience than I do. I don't want to wrestle against the cage.
And it's hard to keep your grips when they rub your back on a cage.
Yeah.
Like, because it makes you break the grips. It's tough. You can use a cage.
hands.
Yeah, you can rub stuff off on the cage, and there's a lot of technique
Yeah,
to it
I don't
too.
even know all these things. Yeah, exactly. But all I kind of knew was I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't want to like have that element present.
That was a good match.
It was fun.
You and Zach, I'm talking about, not me and you.
You didn't think it was a good match?
Me and you? That was fun. That was probably
fun,
the most
yeah.
fun I had grappling in a cage. It was way better than beating up Whitman. Although beating up Whitman was pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't really know him, so I don't know how his like grappling is or anything.
Yeah, he sucks. It wasn't even fun. No, like, it's really not fair. He's like a wipeout, dude. It wasn't even like a fair match at all.
Yeah,
But he was training for it, and I had to borrow shorts to do it. So at least he
it was like last minute.
Yeah,
for you.
like
Let's go.
he trained for it, and then I'm like, I can just do it. And then I had to borrow Gearhart shorts, like a smoker guy, dude. They smelled terrible and they didn't fit. So I was scared my pants were gonna fall down, but it was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to Death Camp, I gotta ask you this.
I remember you were gonna say that.
So,
Talk to me.
I heard you complain about Death Camp a little bit, that you didn't like it. It was a little bit.
Who's telling you these things?
I'm not sure who told me that actually.
So yeah, I mean, I do have some gripes with Death Camp. I went a few times. So I mean, with my background in personal training and everything, like, I think there's a mentality in any sports, any training, any fitness, any exercise of like just like beat people down, work. And to some extent, it's like, yeah, work harder and you will get better. But there's an upper limit to that. You can't just endlessly add more work and more effort on. And so kind of just how I felt the first few times that I went, I was like, he's pushing our pace and there's no rest and there's no breaks. And it's to the point of just like complete technical failure. Like if I were to do all of the reps of every exercise he's requesting of me, I couldn't use any proper form at all, really. So it got to a point where it was just like, he wanted push-ups and he wanted us to get up and down and sit and you know, all these movements. And it's like, if I kept the pace that you're asking me to keep, I can't do any of these things properly. And I very much come from a place where I want to execute every movement properly. It's not necessarily about doing it quickly. If I can't do it properly, I can't do it any faster.
Are you talking about the conditioning aspects or
the conditioning aspects of it?
Okay. So
and then there was some amount of like the number of reps of like a given takedown we were supposed to do, and it was just like I was gassing out so badly that I couldn't do the takedowns the way I needed to do them. I couldn't hit them with like the right explosiveness. And I get some of that aspect from like back in my like high school wrestling days. Like sometimes it's just drill it in until you feel like you can't move anymore. But you know, I have a pretty intense, just regular training schedule throughout the week. So to put the most intense day and the longest day, like, and those two shouldn't be the same. Like, you shouldn't do your most intense day as your longest day. It's like longer than I would normally train at a higher intensity than I would normally train. So like right there, that's like overload. You get what I'm saying?
Right, I understand what you're saying. Because I talk with Mustafa about this a lot, so we talk about you a little bit, and I would not the guy, and he's definitely
throw me under the bus.
No, neither one of us are the guy.
Gray says your workouts are terrible.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I have said that to him actually, because that's what I heard. So I wouldn't want to throw you under the bus. I wouldn't want to throw him under the bus, and he wouldn't throw you under the bus without saying everything that we would say to your face. You know what I mean? And, and he's definitely the same way. And so I just wanted, because I talked with him, and I told him when I sat down with you, we'd actually sit down and talk about this a little bit, and what your gripes were, and like what he was saying. So
so I do know that like the kind of the attitude shifted, and he's addressed like the fact that some people were saying that, and I haven't really been back, mostly just because like I'm getting so much training in during the week that I'm like, I actually do need like a day off.
Right. So what he's saying like is during the technique parts, you could always do what you need to do at your pace. You don't have to keep up with the pace for like the takedowns and the technique part.
And I get that. And I think that might have been just largely a misunderstanding on not just my part, but a few of our parts initially. Just as far as like people thought he expected us to keep this pace, as he was talking to us. And in the coming weeks, he was like, no, if you need to slow down to do this the right way, slow down, do it the right way. And so like, I think that's great that he addressed the concerns that were coming.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't a huge miscommunication between all of us, with you two and Antonio, kind of the same complaints too. So I just wanted to, make it like we're not trying to run anyone out or like that pace needs to be held. But Mustafa and Mohammed work at a pace, and that's kind of the pace that I'm coming there for too. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you were thrown in that group with the two of us. You know what I mean? And that's the pace that we're trying to work at for that. Because we wrestled for a long time, and so the technique's not completely new to us.
Right.
And that's a technique that we've drilled thousands and thousands of times.
Yeah, and so I think every individual needs to take like their whole training schedule into account.
Right.
Because like if you came to me and you said like, here, put me through a day of training, like, but you didn't tell me what else you were doing, I would not know where to begin.
Right. Sundays,
because I don't know how much intensity you need. I don't know how long of a session you need. I don't know any of the variables I should be playing with, or like what techniques should we be focusing on. And so the few times that I went, it was like 95% conditioning work.
yes.
And even the technique was structured in a way that was a little bit more conditioning, and that just wasn't what I needed.
Right.
Those
Sunday's my hardest day of the week for sure.
Right.
And I plan on that being my hardest day of the week.
Lake Effect open mat, I'm like, Friday's my hardest day of the week, typically.
Friday's my hardest sparring day, and Sunday's my hardest
just like
workout day.
Conditioning.
Yeah, conditioning day.
Yeah, and so like I'm conducting some of my own just individual like strength and conditioning workouts, and then I'm doing 4 or 5 days of jiu-jitsu training. So like I get a lot on my plate, and that's ultimately why I like haven't been going to that death camp.
So I got 2 more questions, and I'll let you get out of here because we're already over an hour. But number one, what do you think is an ideal, as a personal trainer, what do you think is an ideal structure for workouts for a week for a competitive athlete?
For a competitive athlete. So always your sport comes first. Like if you are in MMA, your boxing, your jiu-jitsu, your like actual sparring should be the majority of your work in a week.
So you're saying more skill training than conditioning?
Yeah, and I mean, I would argue that conditioning and skill training don't necessarily have to be separate things. I definitely, depending on like my outlook for the day, like get a lot of conditioning out of my jiu-jitsu on a daily basis. When I did striking, I got a ton of conditioning out of that. I would say striking is a little bit more conditioning based, but like you should always focus on doing the sport before you add extra like conditioning work, because like there's no amount of conditioning that's going to make me a better striker. It might make me last a little longer in the cage, but I need to have that foundation of skill first. So I would say always a majority of sport specific work. So if you are a jiu-jitsu guy, you should be doing more time in jiu-jitsu on the mats than you should be doing in the gym. Absolutely, by and far, like way more time on the mats. If you're a striker primarily, you should be striking way more than you're doing conditioning. Well, depending on if you get a lot of conditioning out of the striking or not.
We're getting pretty abstract here, so I'm going to turn this towards me because I'm a selfish prick.
Right.
So I'm a 41-year-old guy. I'm a professional fighter. What should my routine be? How much conditioning should I be doing? How much skill work should I be doing? So there's 7 days a week. Right now, I train Mondays. I get up in the morning. I lift. So I do a workout probably about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. Then I work, and then I get in. I teach kids class. Then I get in an hour and a half of skill training, like MMA practice, which is pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And then I usually try and swim after that on Mondays.
Okay.
Then Tuesdays I'm doing an hour and a half class with Dub. I don't get up early on Tuesdays. I do an hour and a half class with Dub. I go lift again at the gym. I do some kind of cardio at the gym, and I do sauna for 20 minutes.
Okay.
Wednesdays I do PT with Dr. Kroll, so I'm doing physical therapy, so that's kind of my rest day. Then I go to the gym and I sit in the sauna for 20 minutes because I heard sauna is really good for muscle soreness and reducing swelling. Thursdays I wrestle at WNY MMA, which is not much of a class because by the time I get back there, it's really just a half hour sparring. And then I try and get some no-gi jiu-jitsu in. And I don't get much really training in, so I go lift again on Thursday nights. Friday is my really heavy sparring day. I do a lot of stand-up, a lot of striking, and then we have open mat for jiu-jitsu. Saturdays, I don't do very much of anything during the day. And then I try and spar with Keith. I've been doing sparring with Keith, and I get good MMA sparring in at Booma. Sundays are, like today I lifted, and then I went to death camp, and that's probably too much.
Right.
So that's my week. So what should I be doing? What's ideal
for me? I don't want, like, this. I'm not trying to cop out of this or anything. I haven't worked with, I haven't structured a training camp for an MMA athlete ever. So, I don't want to say that, my word is authority on this or anything. I will say there's only so much training and so much stress in general that the body can take before the wheels fall off. And so, if you're getting sick all the time, if you're always have nagging injuries, you might be training more than your body can handle. And your day job can have an impact on that too. Just stress from working and even mental stress correlates with that. And that's why the trust fund babies that get, their apartment paid for and everything, and all they have to think about is fighting or doing jiu-jitsu, they end up doing really well because they might not put that much more time in, but they have that much more time to recover because they're not working or whatever it might be. So there's only so much stress we can have, and if we keep adding and we keep adding and we keep adding, if I had another session and another session, no matter what it is, I'm eventually going to hit a breaking point where either I have to scale my intensity way back or I get hurt. So
this is my scale back routine. This is my post 40. So this is already me scale back a lot.
So yeah, I mean, given all that, we look at the collective time you're spending training, whether it's swimming, cardio. I'm not going to count sauna. That's not
that's
physical.
Relaxation. Yeah, that's
not
kind
physical
of my recovery
effort being
time.
Put in. So with all those things considered, I think that work on your striking and your grappling should total out to be the most hours.
Right.
And if it doesn't, what's the point in riding the bike if you get your heart rate up as much as you do when you're hitting pads?
Right. Well,
why would you do that?
I'm going to say I probably, in a week, I probably spending 15 hours on skill time, maybe 6 to 8 hours on conditioning and lifting time, and then maybe 2 or 3 hours on just straight up jiu-jitsu.
Okay, so
I don't have too much. All my striking is pretty much MMA striking, and almost all my grappling is grappling with striking. And then I have a few hours of just jiu-jitsu time.
Yeah, so I mean, the way you've split that is good. Like I've never really been able to like hike my training up much past like 20 hours. That's at my absolute like most, like 20 hours in a week of just training between lifting.
And you look like a
conditioning.
fucking, you're chiseled fucking dude with 20 hours of working.
And it's usually less than that, honestly.
We got Ray in the room now too. Ray came in.
We got Ray.
I wish I had a six-pack.
Ray, I can put that mic on if you want to jump in here for the end.
Yeah, hop right in, man. So yeah, it's usually less than like, geez, I would say it's probably closer to like 12 hours a week at my current level. And I mean, I'm keeping up on my jiu-jitsu. Like I'm, you know, of course I always want to be better, but like I'm not breaking myself. That's important.
You don't think that you need to break your body down at some point for like a competition?
I do think you need to break your body down to some extent, but I don't think you need to like get hurt, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not hurting myself with like the amount I train, but I do feel that I'm getting better at jiu-jitsu, and I do feel like if I were going to add any more to my schedule right now, conditioning is what I need the most. I feel strong. I feel pretty skilled, but I could probably get my gas tank up a little bit more. But I feel good like in a training session. So I don't know if that's like a nerves thing where I'm gassing out at competitions, if that's more based on just like getting too hyped up.
I
or
think
if that's
that
more of like
that's
I need
gonna
to do more conditioning.
Be something that you need to condition into, because there are going to be the nerves and you are going to get tired. I feel like every fight I go into, I want to be able to have 15 minutes of maximum output, and that's what I'm training to do. I don't want to have too much longer than that. Like, I want to have exactly 15 minutes because that's what I fight.
Right.
So I'm trying to get that point where I know I can go 15 minutes at. You can't ever go 15 minutes at maximum effort, but I want to be able to go 15 minutes at fight pace.
Right.
And that's exactly what I want. I don't want to be able to go 16 minutes. I want to go 15 minutes and be at exhaustion.
Yeah, and something we've been playing around with is just like different round times for our sparring,
Right.
for our rolling. Like we're playing with like, okay, we're going to do 5 minutes on 30 seconds rest, and then we're going to do, just this Friday we did 8 minutes on and a minute 30 off. So we had like a slower paced roll, but a longer roll and a little bit more recovery time. So, I mean, honestly, the last probably 2 months, I've maybe done like 1 or 2 workouts a week outside of jiu-jitsu for the last like month or two. If that.
Most of my whole career, I've spent like conditioning. You want to be able to go forever, you know?
Yeah, and I think that is more true of striking. Like you need more conditioning. And like I said, I've never done any kind of striking competition, so
I honestly think right now that that's kind of a flawed mentality. I think you need to train exactly for what you're training for. So if you're going for a 10-minute roll in jiu-jitsu and you're going to do 3 of them or 4 of them in a tournament, you need to be able to go at your fight pace cardio
for 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes at that pace, and you need to train at that pace, because if you train for 14 minutes or you train for 6 minutes, the pace is different.
I agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
How about the food you put in your body?
I'm going to get into that. I'm going to get into that in a minute. I think food is super important as well. Sorry, Ray, I had your mic way down.
Oh.
I think I can hear you now. Ray talks so soft, it's hard to hear him all the time anyway. Who cares about Ray?
Yes.
I hear you now, you fuck.
Okay.
But I think, like, I've been finding it more and more and more. I used to do 5-minute rounds, and, you know, I pace myself different than if I'm going 3 rounds. And then at competition time, sometimes I start out slow because I'm fighting at that pace.
Okay, so I think something to consider there is like, my goal is to go, you know, that 10-minute round at as much intensity as necessary, right?
Right.
So what if I can't do all out right off the bat? Like, what if I can't do that 10 minutes nonstop at my maximum pace? I'm gassing out and then my pace drops way off. So like, or like I'll compare it to like pull-ups. My goal is to do 5 pull-ups. I can't do 1 pull-up. How do I train that?
I don't know. See, that's what I'm asking you, because you're a personal trainer. Is it better to do like 1 pull-up a day and not get sore, or like push yourself and do assisted pull-ups, you know, and be sore and not train for a couple of days?
Yeah, ultimately, it's if I can't do that one pull-up, like I need to do some variation of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I could do either an easier exercise for more, or I could do, as hard of an exercise as I can and maybe not get one. So I have to hit it on both of those sides because somewhere I'm going to meet in the middle, right?
That's what I'm asking you. Like, you're the personal trainer, so I'm just a stupid fighter. Like, I get hit in the head a lot.
What I'm saying is I want to go on both sides of that. So, like, I want sometimes to do something that's going to be slower paced but last longer. And I want sometimes to do something much faster paced and much more intense but not last nearly as long. So I want to train not just exactly how my competition's going to look, but I want to train on both sides of that.
So you would want to go, like, one time you go 3-minute round and go super intense, and then one time like a 9-minute round if you're ideally going for a 5-minute round.
Yeah, and I want to ultimately balance out, like, how much am I doing those endurance rounds versus how much am I doing those straight sprint rounds? Because what's the pace of my match actually going to look like? It's not going to be maximum output 10 minutes straight. We can't do that.
Right.
We can't do absolute maximum. We can do 30 seconds maximum output. That's
so
like what a human body's like.
That's why I'm saying fight
do.
pace. Like, fight pace is 100% intensity with output varying from, when you're wrestling, like maybe 10% when you're out at range, to 100% when you're working for the takedown, to 40% when you're on top ground and pounding,
absolutely,
up to 70% ramping up and down.
We're totally varying our paces, and
Right.
we need to be proficient at every pace that we might see over the course of that fight or that grappling match. So we're going to get a lot of, like, that specific training. If I have that, like, 3-minute match that's like all scrambles, we're going at it, there's no stopping, just movement, explosion the whole time through, like, that's going to get me ready for that, like, 10-second scramble that I'm going to see.
Right.
And if I do that, no timer running, like, we're going 30 minutes,
So
we don't
out.
care.
Right.
Yeah. Then I'm going to get those, a little bit more technical looks. I'm going to get just, like, the idea of how do I move as efficiently as possible, and not just grind myself out before my time.
Right.
Yeah, so I think we do need a variety of the different pacings, just to kind of, like, add up to what our match is going to look like. I don't think I have 10-minute matches. I don't think I should always do 3s, but I don't think I should always do 10s either.
Yeah, like, so I guess I was just talking about the sparring aspect. I wasn't really talking about, like, because in the skill training you're going to be doing that anyways because you're doing I'm doing regular classes. And
right. Yeah.
So, like,
totally.
your pace is different, and I guess I was just talking about sparring. So I guess there's a lot to go into it. I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah. But sparring, yeah, I do different length rounds.
Awesome. That's, I guess, what I was asking. And then my next question was going to be what Ray always brought up. What do you think is the best diet for a combat athlete or a competitor? Like,
so
do we
want the best diet, or do we want what I do?
I want the best diet.
I want what you do because I'm on the 6-pack.
So, I think there's no one diet that's going to be best for every single body. Like, we have different, like, bacteria in our gut that's going to process things different ways. We have different genetic makeups. We have different metabolism. So, like, you do really have to listen to, like, those results on yourself. Like when do I see weight loss? Like, what is easiest for me to eat? Like, you even have to be as much as, like, what do I like to eat? Like, what tastes good to me and what can I sustain?
Right. Whoppers are not good, right?
Whoppers. Yeah, I mean, if you're eating, like, one Whopper a week and that's all you eat, you're probably going to lose weight. But
what if you eat one Whopper an hour every day?
Then
you turn into Ray.
That might not be so sustainable. So, the first step I would take is just look at calories in versus calories out. Like, if I need to make weight for a fight, I want to change the way I'm putting calories into my body. I need less calories.
Right.
That's the first thing I do. And then I look at macronutrients. So now I'm looking at, like, okay, how many carbs, proteins, fats,
for our
fiber.
listeners, a macronutrient is what? It's carbs,
protein,
fat, and then it breaks down into
yeah, and then
even farther, right?
Yeah, it breaks down, and so like that's like starting to get into micronutrients.
Or is that when it comes into micro when you're talking
yeah.
about like like fiber and
yeah,
like
so
break
like
it down,
fiber
oils.
versus sugar versus like what type of fat are you getting versus like which amino acids are in the proteins you're eating. So like you got to start from like the broad and narrow it down, and then like we look at vitamin intake, and then we look at supplements that you're adding to your diet. But ultimately, like if you're adding supplements to your diet before you even know how many calories you eat, like you're way jumping the gun. And probably, honestly, you should be like, do I sleep enough before you even look at your diet?
How much sleep do you think you need?
You need 8 hours.
You need 8 hours?
That's not
4
a
hours
myth.
probably not good.
4 hours is not going to be, you're not going to be optimal at 4 hours. You know,
I should probably
testosterone
sleep more then.
decreases. That's a big thing. Like we don't want less testosterone for having slept less. So like that's a major thing. And just like
Water intake too, right?
water intake. So even before you look at your diet, like drink more water, sleep more, and you're going to see better results in everything you do just on those two things alone.
Oh my God, no more root beer for me.
I didn't say no more root beer. I said more water.
Okay.
First, more water. And then you look at the calories. And I mean, like there's always the debates like do we want to drink sugary sodas or do we want diet sodas with the chemicals? I think the diet sodas are a little bit better.
Who cares what happens to your insides, right?
Yeah, who cares?
We're talking about for the combat athlete. We're not talking about a healthy diet. This is like there's a huge difference between what you need to make weight and fight optimally
Absolutely.
and be healthy, because fighting is not healthy. Cutting weight is not healthy.
Absolutely not.
How
Yeah, and then go ahead,
Ray.
Oh, no, I'll wait. Go ahead.
We're being serious. No jokes right now. So
okay.
if it was a joke, we're being. I would want to get this as a serious part right
Jesus
here.
Christ, it was a joke. It's about sex before a fight.
Yeah. Sex before fight's good because it raises your testosterone, right?
I like don't really think there's any real connection.
You don't think so?
Like Tyson would say like months out of a fight, like he's not even jerking off. Like
That's stupid.
I think that's stupid too.
The chasing women, like when you're out late, like see that's different because
but I mean that's far
that
away
goes
from the
back
point.
to sleep, right? Yeah,
like that's not sex. Like if you were like just hiring hookers and having sex with them, that's not being out late chasing women and drinking.
But you can't lock them in your trunk, right?
You can't lock them in your trunk.
Come on.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think that really has much bearing on performance.
I think it's good for you. I think you're supposed to.
It's not
I think it raises testosterone.
It's not something I've ever adapted.
I'm pretty sure that's proven.
I've never been like, no, I've got to fight. Like I have a tournament coming up.
Never say no.
But yeah, back to food. Like personally, what I do when I'm cutting weight is I find the easiest things for me to do is lower my carb intake. So like I don't go full zero carb or anything, but I drop significantly how many carbs I take in.
See, I'm kind of the opposite. I actually raise the carbs I eat when I'm cutting weight because I'm training a couple of times.
Well, and I mean,
a day.
You make weight still,
right?
So I mean, I'm not saying either way is exactly how we need to do it or not.
Actually, let's talk about the carbs we eat, because generally I eat a lot of carbs because I'm eating a pretty high calorie diet. So ideally, when I'm cutting weight, I'm usually taking in, I don't know. So normally I'm probably eating way too many carbs, but when I'm cutting weight, I'm usually going like 60% carbs, 20% protein, 20% fat usually. Sometimes I raise the protein and lower the fat because I'm trying to get healthy fat from oils. So
right.
I don't know.
So I mean, another question to look at is just also, when's the weigh-in?
Right.
That makes all the difference in the world. If I need to be ready to go 30 minutes after I weigh in versus if I have a day to recover from that.
Like
that
we
makes
have day before weigh-in,
difference.
so
that makes a huge difference. So
like we're just cutting out water pretty much.
Honestly, the way I diet down to cut weight is a little bit better geared towards like a day before weigh-in, because like cutting carbs out, you flush a lot of water out of your body in doing that, and a lot of like stored carbohydrates. So like there's like a very rapid like weight loss that happens just by like taking carbs out of your diet.
Right.
So it's really good for like a day before weigh-in when you can just like that week stop eating carbs. You might lose 5 pounds if you just don't eat a carb that week. And then you will put that weight right back on. And it's super beneficial that like water and carbohydrates that you store, when you put those back in, you feel like Superman. And you can actually store more carbohydrates if you've depleted yourself. Like you can go beyond what is your normal 100% of stored carbohydrates.
So
and that's just an energy source for you.
The week of the fight, I should cut out carbs, you're saying?
I don't think it's a bad idea.
Right.
I mean, try it. Try it in a training situation first. Like try like, I'm going to do this week of no carbs, and then I'm going to have my sparring day on Friday, and I'm going to carb up like hell.
The night before?
Like the night before a little bit, and all day Friday I'm going to eat carbs like until
like
I would normally
right.
stop eating before this sparring day.
That
and
sounds good.
See how you feel on that, because I've done it, and just like when you deplete and then restock all those carbs, it makes you feel like you have a lot more energy.
I'm going to try that because normally I keep the carbs up and then I just stop eating 24 hours before the weigh-in, and I cut water out and I stop eating and I just cut the weight.
Yeah.
And I usually lose about 8 to 14 pounds of water weight, and then I just put it all back in. Yep. And I just stop the sodium that week usually. That's the only thing I really cut out.
That's an important factor to look at too. So like, for weight cutting, we got to look at nutrition very differently than just for like general.
Right.
Like,
none of this is healthy, gonna so don't do this.
Yeah. So, but like in general, I say I'm not like preachy about like lowering carbs. That's just what works for me. It helps me control my hunger a little bit better. Also like intermittent fasting. I don't eat this last weight cut I did. I only ate from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Like right now I'm doing intermittent fasting too. I only eat from
it helped me control my hunger. It was just like I cut like 8 hours out of my day that I could eat, and then like the other time that I was awake, I didn't feel as much desire to eat because...
What's the optimum window for that intermittent fasting? Because I've heard 6 hours, I've heard 8 hours.
I've only ever done 8 hours of eating and 16 hours of fasting. That's the only way I've tried, and it works pretty well for me.
I've been doing just 6 hours of eating, and it sucks, but I feel great when I train.
Okay, yeah, great.
But I'm starving all day, dude. Like, it's pretty brutal at times.
There's like some hormonal reasons why like intermittent fasting is recommended.
I heard it's great for your gut bacteria.
It's good for I think the gut bacteria is a little bit affected. It's really good for like glucose sensitivity. Like, so I mean, if someone's diabetic, basically they are not sensitive to glucose and insulin at all. Like their body doesn't respond correctly to a spike in blood sugar. So intermittent fasting is a really good way to kind of like reverse some of the metabolic damage of eating a lot of sugar that could cause like type 2 diabetes.
Oh, I gotta try that then.
That's good too, because I eat a lot of bad sugar.
Yeah. And like also if you're just trying to lose weight and you're trying to like restore that glucose and insulin sensitivity and like avoid any kind of diabetic or metabolic dysfunction, like going lower carb is your best friend. But if that's not a concern and like you're spending a ton of energy, like, and you're in fight camp and whatever, carbs are not an enemy necessarily.
That's a problem I was having. I used to cut carbs originally because that's what I heard was good, and then I was having trouble getting through camps. But I think I was working too hard too.
Well, so cutting carbs, your body has to adapt like enzymatically. Like you process the energy and you get energy through different like enzymes and hormones if you're getting most of your energy from fats versus if you're getting most of your energy from carbs. So like there's an adaptation period. There's like about 2 weeks that it takes for the body to like build up all the enzymes so it can properly digest fat. So if you just cut carbs right out, your body's not ready to work off of fats primarily right away.
So that's the problem I'm having.
So that's probably why you feel sluggish.
Yeah, and it's tough to go through camp, like,
and I've done like very low carb, but like the exception being like right before and right after my workout, I have like a little bit of carbs, like a banana's worth of carbs,
right,
or like something comparable. You know,
I was doing that, and I was having a Gatorade and like a little bar before, and I felt okay to get through the workout.
And those carbs are only for your workout, and then the rest of the day you got to run off like the fat.
It's tough though, because I think I'm gonna try it now. Just cut the carbs out now instead because I got
do
like
just like an
6 weeks
experimental week like that.
Yeah.
Try it and see how you feel. Just like and then do that recarb on like your heavy before your heavy sparring day and see if you feel good for that. Because I think it's a really good way to manage like a day before weigh-in.
out. Right. I'm gonna give that a try this week. I like that a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we had Gray on. We talked about dieting. We're glad we didn't have Ray here interrupting with Burger King. Jesus Christ. You got any questions for Gray while he's here?
All right, give me what diet should I use for a guy like my size? Like
Ray used to be 185er, and now he's a heavyweight.
I'm 255 right now.
So what diet should you use?
For a big guy like me, I'm gonna start training again in noon classes. I work 3 to 11.
And so you're just trying to drop some weight?
Yes, sir.
So I would say before you make like any major changes, like you said, you like drinking root beer?
I was just messing around, but
You like soda though? Like you?
I started to drink a little soda, but now I'm drinking more water now.
So yeah, I mean, first things I would do is drink more water, drink less like sugary drinks, sleep a little bit more.
Okay.
If you can help it, like, you know, just try and get your 8 hours, like aim for that. And then have you ever used like a calorie tracking app or anything?
No.
I would try that. So
I got a great one for you, Ray. I'll show you after. I don't want to give any free advertising, but I got a great one.
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I mean, even just do that and be as honest as you can with it. Like don't lie to that thing. You put in everything you eat.
You will be surprised how many empty calories you're eating in a day just by drinking.
And then is it like a myth with the eating past 9 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you're trying to do something like intermittent fasting, it does not matter when you eat. It matters how much you eat. And really, I say it averages. It's more a matter of like average out your week. Don't look at like each day. Like you're like, I'm going to eat 2,000 calories a day. And then I'm going to have my cheat day Saturday. And then I'm going to eat 17 Whoppers. And so like if I ate 2,000 calories a day and then I went off the rails and I ate 10,000 calories on Saturday, that kind of negates the point of eating 2,000 calories a day, doesn't it?
The one I track, the app I'm going to give you tracks day to day, and then it does week to week, and then it does month to month. So you can see how many calories you're getting per week, and it'll average it over months.
And so like the average of like your weekly, like if you look at how many total calories you eat in a week, and then you average that out for like how many was that each day, that tells you way more than like, 6 days last week I ate 2,000 calories. I'm like, what about Saturday?
And then it'll break down the micronutrients too. It'll break down everything you need. It's really, I love it, man.
So that's the first thing I tell anybody as far as like trying to approach weight loss is just like get a good idea of like what you are eating and how much and like what the macronutrient breakdowns of the carbs, proteins, fats. And it just makes a world of difference. And even right off the bat, just like being aware of it, you're going to be like, okay, maybe I don't want to eat 12 Oreos right now because I have to put that in my phone as soon as I'm done.
Eat 3.
Yeah, and then you're like, okay, but like 3 is reasonable. That's the serving size.
Yep.
I'll stick with my 3. and just right there, like it kind of like guilts you into making better choices.
And you always have your phone with you too, so it's really easy to do. And all of them now, you can just scan UPCs and it'll put it in right away.
But tracking calories is the only way I know to like surefire teach yourself how to eat to lose weight.
Cool.
That's like the most consistent way I can tell you.
Then you're going to get OCD and you're going to weigh everything you eat.
Yeah.
You will.
Weigh or measure. You either got the measuring cups out or you got the little food scale.
I got the food scale and the measuring cups, man.
I like the scale better just because it's more consistent. Because you're like, I don't know how much air is in this cup of popcorn.
I weigh everything because
I want to know how much it weighs. Yeah.
Because when you're starving, you're like, if I weigh it, I could probably eat more. Because there's lots of holes for that broccoli to fill in there.
Yeah. It does have to be something you think about a fair amount, though. You have to pay a lot of attention to it. So there's no like easy quick fix, but like start thinking about it, start tracking, look at it accurately.
What do you think about steroids? Think that would help me?
Steroids will help anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, like, people ask me about supplements, and I'm like, okay, like the supplements that are guaranteed to work are the ones that are on like WADA's banned list.
Protein works for sure.
So
creatine works,
yeah,
right? Those two definitely work.
There's a couple non-banned supplements that work. Protein, I just consider to be food. It's sold as a supplement, but protein is just food. Protein powder is food.
Right.
So it's just adding a good food to your diet.
Good luck getting that healthy protein.
Right.
Because everyone's going to be like, I'll just have a burger. There's protein in there. Or,
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. The protein shake is just like your clean source of
and it's
extra
quick.
protein. And quick
2
and convenient.
scoops.
Yeah. I don't have a steak
Done,
in my
meal.
back pocket
Yeah.
for like after my workout. So yeah, protein shake's better. So like, I think steroids would help anybody. I personally don't have like a huge moral issue with people who want to use steroids just like for shits and giggles if they want to get jacked or whatever it is. I do have some issues in sports. Like, I wish that not every pro athlete needed to be on steroids, but they kind of do now.
They do, because if one person is on, other people do need to compete.
Yeah, it's kind of forced now that, like, you know, like if DC wants to keep up with John Jones, he's got to be juicing, man.
And taking coke.
Yeah, and hitting pregnant women with his car.
Yeah, whatever you got to do to get through the day. Because he can train harder and longer.
Yeah, I heard football players use Viagra.
Probably.
Something for blood flow, probably. Yeah,
I don't know how it helps them in the football.
Well, cause
football's a game of inches, so
so
maybe that's why.
I imagine there's some like blood flow effect of Viagra.
I'm sure.
Something to do with that.
It's probably why John Jones takes it too. Or Cialis. What do you think about Minhouse? Do you think he's on steroids? I heard he's on steroids.
I don't think he's on steroids.
Oh, okay. He told me to ask you.
Did he really?
Yeah, well, I saw him today. I'm going to train with him.
I mean, he gained a lot of muscle and a lot of weight recently, but I don't think it's like an unnatural amount or anything. I think it's just, you know, he made some lifestyle and diet changes and has just rebalanced his hormones in a way that he was able to build a lot more muscle than he has in the past.
Do you work with the guys at Lake Effect about nutrition and stuff?
If they ask me questions, I don't like formally work with anybody, but yeah, if people want to hear what I have to say about it, I'll offer my opinions.
Yeah, you're pretty smart. I'm gonna use some of your stuff. I like it.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. Don't listen.
Oh shit! If I get fucked up,
it's just it's a whole sabotage.
Greg did this to me, so I'm gonna be all sluggish and get knocked out on Friday.
No, that's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying do it a few weeks out. Do it way before you actually have to do the fight, because maybe you don't like how it was for you,
right? Or
maybe it works really well. Or maybe you think it could work, but you need to make some tweaks to it.
I heard GSP talking about training the intermittent fasting, and the only reason I started with is because I had the same problem with my gut. Like he said, I always felt real heavy and sick when he trained, so I started doing it before I train. I feel great.
Yeah,
and like I've just noticed I've been putting lean muscle on a lot easier, like eating it in that fashion too.
Perfect.
And like I really like the intermittent fasting, so I'm gonna give this a try. So if I jack everyone up in sparring on Friday, it's Gray's fault. If I get my ass kicked, it's Gray's fault.
Send your threats my way.
But you don't want to grapple with him because he's going to choke you out. Probably break your arm, actually.
Yeah. Depends if it's gi or no gi.
Yeah. You got anything else to promote while you're here besides your personal training? Gray's going to be a personal trainer next week. $1,000 an hour, Ray. He'll hook you up.
If you say the word caveman to him, he takes off $100.
Yeah, so $900.
Yeah, that's my promo code. You gotta go to grayhendershot.com/caveman.
Yeah, you get
it's not a real URL. Don't try it.
10% off. It'll take you right to mattbattle.com.
That'll link you to some tentacle porn right there.
Yeah, Gray's all about the tentacle porn. I didn't know you didn't know about that.
I didn't know.
That was crazy.
No, it's just a matter of like I don't actually want to tell you guys what I like to watch on Pornhub.
So what do you watch on Pornhub?
Tentacle porn.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. So I went up to Gray during a tournament and like he didn't know the whole story. One time I went over to Amanda's house and she's watching tentacle porn. I'm like, so you watching some tentacle porn? Gray? He just went along with it and it was like perfect.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. She just told me the other day that you didn't know about that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
You're so good. You're such a. I love when you call me. You're like the jovial trash talker. Jovial trash talker.
Oh, it's perfect.
That was the best title I ever had.
It's pretty accurate too. You weren't malicious or anything coming after me.
Yeah, I don't want
taunting me with your pizza.
Yeah, I was like, check this out, Gray.
That was the most personal it got. I was like, I'm so hungry, man.
Because you just posted that, and I was like, oh yeah, look, I'm eating this pizza today. I was trying to put on weight, dude. I was so light for that. I think I was like 146 pounds or 145 pounds.
Didn't you get in some trouble for
that?
I
did. I got in trouble from the commissioner. Oh my God.
For wearing your backpack on the
scale.
scale.
So what do we compete at? Like 180? something like that?
No, it was
170?
165.
65?
Yeah, I came down way far for that.
Yeah, and I was like 145 pounds because I was training pretty hard. So I thought it'd be funny if I just put my clothes on. I got on the scale and just kept putting stuff in my backpack until I was exactly 165. And then I got on the scale with my backpack on, and it was awesome. And then the commissioner took me apart outside, and she was like, "You can't do that. You can't go on the scale with stuff in your backpack, and it's not fair."
New York State, they don't know when you're playing around.
The commissioner, the guy that
because
ran
they
it,
can't like actually let us be more than 10 pounds apart, right?
yeah. So like,
But I mean, not that it matters for a
it shouldn't
jiu-jitsu
matter for grappling. We're not punching each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm not knocking your brain around. In
We
your
just
skull or
competed like
anything.
every time in the tournament because they put our weights together every time.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
so
like
not
you
fair.
guys ever hear of the absolute division?
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, man, you should use my gi.
Yeah. I don't want to use that stinky gear. Me and Ray had a bet that 10. I couldn't submit him in 10 minutes. Right? That was what it was. And he wore this stinky shirt and this old gi. It smelled so bad. I didn't want to touch him.
is that like that was your strategy? Is just be repulsive so he didn't want to touch you?
And I was on top of him too, and I was putting my chest in his face.
Oh, that's so gross.
If you ever want to like relive that bet, like I could use a few bucks.
Submit. I'm taking that with you. It's got to be a white belt or a blue belt. I don't know. Maybe not, because I won't want to do that bet with Minhouse. He's a sandbagger. He should be at least a purple belt.
I'm guessing it's gonna be soon.
Yeah. He should be a black belt, too.
He's a 4-stripe.
Yeah. He's been a 4-stripe for a long time.
No, he hasn't been that long a 4-stripe.
Feels like I've always seen
it was a
4 stripes.
recent last stripe, so it's soon. He's due.
Good.
I agree.
Just like having such a hard time with a blue belt. Sick.
I hear that, man.
He's really good.
And you know what? I rolled with him Noki the other day, and I was like, oh, he uses like a lot of lapel guards and everything. So I'm like, maybe I'll have an easier time. Not that he like, gives me the business or anything. He doesn't like kill me, but he's
tough,
he's hard
man.
to deal
Yeah.
with. Like he hangs in there really well, and he keeps good position. So like, he actually like was probably tougher to deal with Nogi than
He's been doing
normal.
death camp.
I'm like, what is going
Oh,
on?
yeah?
Yeah, he's been doing death camp every week. He's
Yeah,
tough.
I guess that's what I'm missing out on.
Yeah. You're missing out on it.
Yeah.
You gotta come back.
Okay, man, I'll be at Death Camp
structure.
next week.
You say that every week. You're never coming.
Yeah, I'm off the weekends. I don't work weekends.
Muhammad's gonna slap you around like your little kid,
Oh, yeah?
just like Gray would.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Have you ever rolled Gray?
No.
You should roll Gray sometime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
Maybe
try it
I know
out.
they get beat up by Greg.
Look, Gray made me get all these silvers. These would all be gold if Gray didn't exist.
I wish you were never born.
I wish you were never born. God damn
Hey,
it.
Caveman, if you can't beat them, join them.
Oh, Ray's starting a gym war.
Hey, I mean,
Oh, no. That'd be like.
you can come take privates with me. That's all right.
All right.
if you want to learn some stuff.
I will. I'm
Show
gonna
you some
come
arm
learn that
bars.
in Plata.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah. All right. What do you charge? $1,000 an hour?
Yeah.
I got promo code Caveman.
Yeah, if you use promo code Caveman, we'll work something out.
All right. Marco's privates went from $80 to like $890 by the time we left. So it worked out really well.
Black belt.
Yeah.
Price for another. All thanks to Caveman.
All right, man. Great. Thank you for coming here and being
Yeah.
such good support. We appreciate having you on Caveman's Corner.
Absolutely.
If you're listening, please hit subscribe on whatever you're listening to, so I don't have to keep bugging you to watch this shit.
You know what? I'm gonna start trouble. I think we should have a match: jiu-jitsu guys versus catch wrestling guys.
Who do you know that catch wrestles?
It's a few guys out of the state, and some.
That's like telling me about your girlfriend who goes to another school.
Emil
you don't actually know any catch
Emil
wrestling.
Fisher. You and Emil would be a good match. He's a big dude.
that'd be a good match. A meal.
I mean,
Sort of like a
how big? How big are we talking?
He's like, I don't know, what is he, like 215?
That's too big, man.
No. He's like 190, I think.
No, he's like 215. And he's like a purple belt, though.
I mean, like, yeah, I'd be down to set up whatever match. Like,
Yeah. He's
But-
competition purple. He's pretty good. I roll him.
He's a jiu-jitsu geek.
And then Ray made me get beat up by him. We were all really smooth and so light, and it was just a nice flow roll. And Ray's like, he's a black belt, and he's a pro MMA fighter, and he slaps on a heel hook. And I'm like, oh, god damn it, Ray. Because the pace of the match changed 100% right after Ray yelled that out. Such a jerk.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a nice flow roll, too. Dude, it was like good. It was so technical, and all of a sudden, it was mean.
I'm sorry, Caveman.
You're a dick.
I know.
All right, let's get out of here so Gray can leave.
Right
He looks
on.
sick of listening to our bullshit already. All right, that's Caveman's Corner coming to you live from the Caveman Studios in North Buffalo. Ray's here with the hookers in his trunk, and Gray Hendershot was our awesome guest. Catch
Right
you guys
on.
later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gray. Oh, he's on the phone. What a rookie.
I was just hanging with Caveman. What's that? Okay, I won't tell him anything. Secrets.
I can hear you. He's talking really loud. I can hear you.
Right.
It's Antonio. They're talking about jiu-jitsu.
Me, friends like that, Caveman.
What's that? What's that? What'd you say? You still there?
He hung up on you because we're listening to his secrets. This is going to be the best Easter egg ever.
Take a
All right, later, man. Thanks, Gray.